All right, folks, we've entered into a period of geomagnetic unrest once again here. And it's all because of the solar magnetic fields. So we've seen a field shift, we've seen a strong field, and a significant negative BZ component. So the vertical component of the magnetic field shifting well into the negative territory, and that has caused a little bit of additional geomagnetic unrest. It's mainly from that, not from solar wind components, not from plasma, it's just from the field shift. This is the last 4 hours of magnetohydrodynamic pressure surrounding planet Earth. It's been an exciting couple of days, to say the least, when it comes to space weather. And thanks to everybody who tunes into the channel. Congratulations on realizing it exists. We will see another little uptick here in the aurorae. So here's your forecast. Keep in mind, folks, if you're anywhere near where this is, don't just assume that you're not going to be able to see aurora from your location. This forecast is often off by a lot. And here we should see this re-intensify here. That's that negative BZ component beefing up the auroral oval. There it is. That's geomagnetic unrest right there. So here are ground magnetic perturbations the past 4 hours. These are sort of the most likely spots to see aurorae, also likely spots to see things like induction into the power grid, pipelines, railroad tracks, etc. We are expecting this to subside rather quickly here, as the field is looking like it's weakening. We'll show you the real-time solar wind momentarily. Since it did refresh, we're going to let it play through. And some magnetic pulses coming out of the Indian Ocean there. So there's your KP index over the past 3 days. As you can see, we've moved back into geomagnetic unrest territory, that yellow bar there. I'm suspecting it's probably going to subside quickly because it looks like the field is weakening, or at least the negative BZ component is weakening. So let's take a look at the real-time solar wind here. We did see an ongoing signal here. This red line that's your negative BZ. The field got pretty strong there. We got up to 17 nanoteslas for the total field and a -9 for the BZ component there. Looks like it may be subsiding here. We're also seeing a small density uptick and a velocity downtick. So current conditions are, it looks like a significant density uptick there. Current conditions showing 11 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed 458 kilometers per second. Also, it looks like the plasma temperature has dipped. So this looks like some sort of a new solar wind regime happening as we make the video. We'll have to take a look at that a little later in the day. The proton event has been subsiding here, along with the polar high-frequency radial blackouts. Significant proton event, and a couple of them over the past 7 days. Here you can see 2 significant proton events, one associated with an M-class flare, and this one associated with an X-class flare, showing up kind of late. Sort of relativistic particles that weren't all that fast. Faster than the coronal mass ejection, but not nearly as fast as these, which only took about 20 minutes to arrive at the earthly system. So here are your radial blackouts. Again, you can see them subsiding here. That's what's going on in the D layer of the ionosphere. These equatorial radial brownouts and blackouts, those are caused by photons. The polar ones are caused by protons. Continuing on, here's the ghost magnetometer over the past 3 days. And some spiky readings showing up there. There's been a lot of plasma from space showing up, which affects the magnetometer readings. Next, look at the heliospheric current sheet. I think there is a North Pole current sheet imminent. You can see it showing up right over here by stereo A. This is stereo A right here, located at Lagrangian 0.5, and if I bring up the last image, you can see this North Pole current sheet. Earth is currently in a South Pole current sheet. There could be a change coming by tomorrow. Could very well be. Here's a line of sight view, and you can see those meridional blue line there. That's sort of the border between the North and South Pole current sheet. And lots of activity on the sun as solar cycle 25 ramps up years ahead of schedule. Keep in mind the magnetic environment can suddenly change with basically no warning. Next, coronal holes. Here's a line of sight coronal hole plot. Well-defined South Pole-oriented coronal hole here, just rotating past the Earth-facing zone in a couple days. Some mixed coronal holes rotating back in here. North and South Pole-oriented coronal holes mixing it up around the eastern portion. Sun's B field shown there in blue. Here's 193 angstroms. South Pole-oriented coronal holes right here. M9.6 class flare up here. And we'll get to the flare profile momentarily. It's pretty spectacular. First, sunspots. They've been largely stable. I think there may be a new sunspot forming right here in the northern hemisphere, that active region right there. Maybe a sunspot. Make sure you check out our bonus features segment. We'll look closely to see if a new sunspot has formed. So lots of exciting stuff going on here. And let's take a look at the flare probability. There's your detected sunspot groups on the right. Quite a lot of them, not as many as we saw in the past couple of days. Still about 6 named groups there. So this group up here needs a name. That's going to be sunspot 2982, I think. And this area right here might be a sunspot as well. This one down here is a sunspot too, so 2982, probably 2983. That's my best guess. Likelihood of large flares still very high. Don't be surprised to see additional M or even X-class flares. You can see the probability of X-class flares jumping all the way up to 13% there for a moment. That is a high probability for major activity. Thanks for tuning into the channel, by the way. Congratulations on realizing it exists. Press like and subscribe. If you haven't seen us on BitChute, we are on BitChute as well. Putting up exclusive content there on the regs. BitChute.com/smashamash. Thanks to our BitChute subscribers. Also, notice on YouTube, for our YouTube subscribers, notice we're getting over 1,000 views a day on BitChute. We were up to an average of 2,000 a day there for a little while. We also regularly stream live to Twitch, thanks to our new followers over on Twitch, twitch.tv/smashamash. We stream daily, and welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Check out our homepage. We've recently refitted it, made it a little more simple at smashamash.com. You can find our merch link as well right there, Smasho Merch. Welcome to the Neo Renaissance. If you want to support the channel, consider becoming a member of the Smash Team, smashamash.com/Smash Team. Join at the gold or silver level to support the channel by sending us a couple bucks per month. You'll get added benefits, which we can't show you because they're for gold and silver paid up subscribers only. We still do have a Patreon and so on. Thanks to everybody for viewing the videos. Once again, let's get back to some data. Here's this M9.6 class flare that happened. Peak flux was around 1830 yesterday on March 31st. And today the sun is going to kill us all. I don't know if you were aware. Today, the sun is going to kill us all. April Fools. You probably got the joke. Next, 94 angstroms. It'll provide some great imagery of this M9.6 class flare, which came from sunspot 2975. There it was. We'll let it play through a second time there for your viewing pleasure. Number 1, I order you to not take a number 2 in your pants. Engage. And that's the last 24 hours in 94 angstroms. It's also New Moon Day, so happy New Moon. It's my favorite phase. I'm a reverse werewolf, because what happens with me is that around New Moon, I sleep better, and then I'm a productive member of society who's friendly and delighted, and I don't cannibalize other human beings like regular werewolves. It's the reverse. Shout out to all of my reverse werewolves out there, my reverse werewolf brethren. We stay in at new moon instead of going out all night at full moon and do evil deeds. Let's advance this 1 week. As Mercury swings around the far side of the sun, there's where things will be in a week on April 8th. Next, a star chart. We've drawn in the ecliptic and the galactic plane here. The galactic plane is the blue line. The ecliptic is the yellow line. And it's a great time for viewing morning planets. Mars, Saturn, Venus, and Jupiter all rising ahead of the sun. And let's look at the coronagraphs. We do have some coronal mass ejections. Once again, here's the view from stereo A at Lagrange 5 and the Soho-Lascaux C3 at Lagrange 1. So these are far side coronal mass ejections over here for you new viewers. The Earth is off in this direction. And so we may have additional ejecta headed toward Earth here. This one's a little bit confusing because when you see coronal mass ejections happening at the same time on both sides of the sun, it can be difficult to determine if they are earthly directed or not. It would be nice if we had access. It would be nice if stereo B hadn't been damaged by some sort of a hardware anomaly back in September 2014, I believe it was. There could be some additional ejecta headed our way. I thought there was going to be an additional coronal mass ejection strike tomorrow late in the day because of the X-class flare. I don't see it modeled by NOAA, so let's just move on. And actually, let's just end the video because that's about all we've got to cover at the moment. So yeah, thanks for tuning into our in-depth space weather content. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off from the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. May that solar wind be at your back.